Hello. It's David at Bowling Beyond, and I'm here with Trevor Thibodeau, my friend Trevor. And Trevor really is my friend.
Folks. yeah. Not like the rest.
Not like that. But they're all my friends too. But Trevor and I actually live together. Like, not like partners, but I mean, we're in the same fucking house. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We lived together for a year.
It was actually only 7 months.
Oh, you were counting.
No, I just remember.
Oh, that's right. They sold the house, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was a blissful 7 months.
So David and I are also on men's team together. So
Yeah.
the relationship is an honest one, an authentic one. So,
We-
so that doesn't necessarily mean harmony all the time.
Yeah, we strive for honest and authentic.
Truth over harmony.
Yes.
Truth over peace.
So we had honest discussions.
Yeah.
We've had those around here too, haven't we? We have. Anyway, look, here's the thing about Trevor. Trevor is, besides a lot of other things that he does in his life, his day job and how he contributes keeps a school system, buildings running, and all kinds of stuff. He has a lot of stuff going on. He also, you won't mind if I talk about you?
I do not. I'm here. I figured that might happen.
He also facilitates what I think is probably the number one modality to touch into a state of awakening, of enlightenment, even if it's, there's a difference between what William James talks about as an educational variety of a spiritual experience where, we've spent years kind of letting go of stuff. What happens with Trevor in his Enlightenment Intensives is that we go through a very short period of time, like 3 days, and shed it all. And it's not for the faint of heart.
That's true. Yeah. That's that's not a bad description. It's a stem from the Rinzai Zen tradition. So what makes it so effective is that it's a very bold venture that says we are going to go for this thing called enlightenment, which can be talked about in short, a direct experience of absolute truth. That we can do it. We can use our will in a sense. Of course, the paradox is that in the end, the experience itself is a total gift that one is graced with, but we can set out to have the intention, and by doing that, we at the very least run into all that is not the truth, and then through communicating what comes up in the dyad, we get rid of what isn't true, and therefore we're open to the actual grace of truth to fall in, so to speak.
So it happens. It actually does. There's very few concise practices. I know that I'm involved in the 12-step world, and those 12 steps actually, if they're followed and worked and done diligently, can produce an awakening state and a God consciousness, a surrender of all things. And this, what Trevor does, can like speed it up beyond. And it doesn't mean we're going to hold it.
Yeah.
And having experienced it, and in a profound experience for me recently in September, wasn't it? October, yeah. And we did.
November.
I went and did the 3-day with Trevor, and it was like, holy shit, somewhere in the either the close to the end of the second day or early in the third day, I became the one who's experiencing the experience, and
it was yeah. You realized you became the one who was doing the technique. You became very aware of your own contemplation.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. You were who you were is the one who was contemplating, and that's precisely who you were.
It's who I was, and I am the one who's going. And Trevor had offered up that mantra. I don't know if it was meant to be a mantra.
No, I didn't offer it up. I observed you doing this. You found it, and then I came and encouraged you. That's a good direction. Just part of one of the many things I'm supposed to do, and it's supposed to do. But the training that I'm given,
part of your job.
Big part of it is to encourage people. So it's like, keeping it really simple, and two halves of it is to correct people as best I can when they're way off course, and when people are on course to say, yes, that's it, keep going in that direction. So that's what I did with you, is just keep going in that direction.
So for me, when I got to that place, there was a stillness that I experienced, that I had experienced before, but I didn't know in the past what it was. I had experienced in longer groups with Paul this stillness, and the change of the texture of everything, and we went out to look at the moon. It was like, oh my God! It was a bit like how when it's happened to me before, I would compare it to in my youth when I did acid.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it was like, I had this, experience of altered state of. But it wasn't. It was being nowhere.
Yeah, and this, the language is so tricky. Like altered state, it's actually the natural state.
Yes. Altered from my normal state, which is usually stressed.
and unnatural, and in some form of illusion or neurosis, and and that experience of the sensual part of it, where everything becomes brighter and the sounds become so much more crisp, and all of that is still considered in the teaching of Enlightenment Intensives, and I think in Zen and a lot of traditions, that's still the phenomena. That's the truth is just aware of itself, and that's itself. So those heightened senses is just a sort of a byproduct, you might say, but it's just the truth is simply what is, and all those things like the birds chirping and the color of the sky is a part of what is. So it becomes much more heightened in our awareness, because we are actually the language with what isn't quite right.
Present to what is.
Well, the realization is a wonderful word, because we realize what's already the case. There's nothing gained. Like, we are the truth itself. The truth is what is. What the hell else is it going to be? What isn't? Is it going to be something that is not? It is what is.
What is, yes.
And whatever that is, it includes each of us as individuals. And so we get this experience of directly.
How did you get into this? What was your motivation? What happened to you?
Well, like many, I came through the suffering. Like I was out in BC, in Castlegar, BC, and I was having a really rough time of it with life. I was working at a pulp mill, and there was I just had a sort of I don't know, called breakdown, but
breakdown's fine.
Yeah, breakdown's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it did. I had a little freak out at work one day, and which was, followed by, like, there was not followed by, but preceded by depression and anxiety. It was a year after 9/11, which really sort of screwed me up. I started,
shook you up.
Well, I dug into the small t truth of what the hell is going on here in this world, that this sort of thing would happen. And I realized how really messed up the society is from a certain point of view. I get that it's all perfect in a way, and everything's happening for a reason. But that investigation into the truth through Noam Chomsky and other activists and people who are looking for the truth in society, I found it to be so incredibly difficult of a problem that it'll never get solved, and it seemed absolutely hopeless, and so I was just a rock in this avalanche that was occurring, so to speak, and really, plus the job was quite stressful with just.
So how did you find it?
And so I started searching after this sort of breakdown, and I was reading the Bible to begin with.
Yeah. Good
But I
place to
didn't.
go.
Well, it was, but
Yeah.
I didn't have any real sense of awakening at that point. So the Bible wasn't. I was like, of course I'm supposed to be kind and all that stuff, but I didn't get any depth in it. So I was just searching. I was legitimately, really searching, and everything that I saw around, I was like, well, what is this? And I'm looking for some sort of, rope.
Yes,
A
yeah.
rope to pull me in, and I stumbled across this. There was this magazine called Issues. It was out in the West Kootenays, Okanagan area, and it was just this little ad in the said, "Who am I?" The Enlightenment Intensive, and it was Josephine Lawless, and the phone number was there, and I called, and I went. We had like a half an hour discussion. She told me it was about inquiring into the question, who am I? And you're doing a lot of dyad works, and it's about having a direct experience of absolute truth. That's the sole purpose of an Enlightenment Intensive, is to give the participant the best possible opportunity at having the deepest direct experience of absolute truth possible. And so I went, and it was amazing. And she still says that I'm the only person that ever went from the ads in the paper. but I'm giving the intensives, so I guess it was worth her all those ads.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
Nice. So, how many years have you been facilitating?
On I guess October was 17, 18. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah.
You've done 17 or 18 intensives, or
17 or 18 years.
Okay.
I've taken. I've lost track. There's many people who have done a lot more, but I think I've taken 9 7-day intensives and 10 3-day, something like that.
there must be something wrong with you.
Something's definitely wrong with me. and I've facilitated.
Haven't you got it yet?
There's always more.
Oh, yeah, honestly.
It's Leonard Cohen. I love that line. Hey man, why not ask for more? The woman in the doorway, or is it the blind man? I can't remember, but yeah. So, it's a calling, really. I mean, it sounds like it's what a woo-woo thing to say, but
Oh no, I get that.
yeah, it's.
I get that.
I just felt pulled that I'm supposed to do this, and there was a point where I was at an intensive, and I sort of looked up and said, yeah, I could do that, and I'm supposed to do that. Like that's what I'm going to do. And it was actually after Plum Village, because I had done many intensives, and then I quit the job at the pulp mill and went on a year-long type of sabbatical to Newfoundland with Miranda Squires and all of them out there giving intensives, and Plum Village with Thich Nhat Hanh in France for 6 months. And I came back.
Was he there?
Yeah, oh yeah, he was there. Yeah.
Did you meet him?
Well, there's a story there, but I became very close friends with this really honored guest monk that was there, Brother Young, my dear friend Brother Young, who was from Korea, and he was from the Rinzai school. So these guys, they sit 11 hours a day, 13 in the wintertime.
Novice.
For 3 months. 3 months of every day, 13 hours meditation a day. And so he didn't get shook up very easily. He was pretty solid character, and but such an ordinary, we hung out,
Chop wood and carry water.
And so he was an honored guest, and long story short, we at the Paris opening of the Paris Center, it's Brother Young and I there together. So we traveled from the French countryside in the Dordogne, the wines, grape regions and plums, and we were there for the grand opening of the Paris Plum Village Center, and I had breakfast with Thich Nhat Hanh and about 5 other people in the Zendo, where we just ate on the floor in the cushions, and I was really afraid. I was like really there was a whole air about Thich Nhat.
What if he sees me?
Well, yeah, and he's like, I mean, I wanted to tell the story. Should I tell the story? So there was this whole air around Thich Nhat Hanh at Plum Village, which was to not bother him. And there was a time when Thai, we call Thai, right, a teacher, would stop and talk to every person who he met, who approached him after he gave a Dharma talk. And it would take him 4 hours to go 300 yards to his little hut.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sister Chang Kong, who was, it's fascinating, it's almost like husband and wife, the two, but they're both obviously celibate monastics. She runs the place, and she's his best friend. I think it was all the way back to the Vietnam War. She told them, look, you're a rock star now. There's no more of that. You can't be wasting 3-4 hours saying hello to people. We're going indoor, the back door, entry and exit, right? So there was this whole thing around not bothering Thai, and so I never saw him at all. You see him in the Dharma talks, but nothing up close and personal. And at the main center, and there I was. I just come around the corner like I was, because we were there for a week before this day. Every morning, come around. It was this L-shaped room, and with my bowl of oatmeal, and there he is. And this is my cushion, is where I've been sitting the whole time. And Brother Young has been sitting next to me, and I saw Thai there, so I sat down on my cushion, and I even heard him say, "Oh," like that, "Oh," because he knew me as the friend of Brother Young, and so the tradition in Plum Village is to go around. You do a little prayer with your hands together, and before you eat, and you go around to each person at the table, or in this case in the room, and bow to each one. And I got to Thich Nhat Hanh, I just started eating my oatmeal. I didn't bow to him, right? And it was really like, it was one of the spotlight moments in my life. I think that's the most memorable moment of my life, actually. That whole sort of 5 minutes, and Brother Young came in shortly after, and he does the same thing, and he goes around the room, and he gets the Thai, and he's like, he's kind of laughing and bowing several times, and I'm like eating my oatmeal, and I look up, and he even tried again. In Plum Village, if you've got something in your hand, you just do one hand. He looks at me, and he goes kind of a back kick to come forward and bow, and I just turned away again, and it was a real observation of the fear of, I'm still not sure if it was unworthiness or, I think so. Like, I just felt I'm not good enough to be acknowledged by this master, right? And but years later, I wrote, and luckily, because he's had a stroke now, and it was about 4 months before, I wrote him a letter, and I told him the whole story in the letter, and then in the end of the letter, and so now I bow to you 3 times. And I asked Brother Young about that, and he's, did you think you got the letter? He said, absolutely. It's tradition in Zen monasteries, if there's a letter directly addressed to the master, he would be given it directly, unopened. And so I feel confident that Thai received my letter. And, that wasn't at all we had planned.
What did we have planned?
Well, we would talk about the intensive and stuff like that.
Well,
so.
We will.
I was going somewhere there. Yeah, it was.
I just wanted to mention that I've been listening a lot to Ram Dass, and Ram Dass talks about his experience with his master, with his teacher, and how a lot of the same things happened for him. He went to India, and he said, "There's no way I'm going to be bowing to anybody or touching any feet." And he said he would sit in front of his master, and he'd reach out to touch his feet, and he'd pull his feet in, and it would be. He ended up doing a lot of, because when we're with the guru, who really, there's the difference between the teacher talks about awakening, guru is awakening, and
the guru, like the master, another word, this joy class that I've been into, say, well, what would the master do? Before you're going to do anything, ask yourself, what would the master do? But the master is the higher power in all of us. It's not any.
What would love do? What would Jesus do? And however we see that master at different times, and good for you. That's
and it wasn't, just to be clear, like there wasn't any of this sense of like well, I was clear in the story that I wouldn't bow like a pride. It was fear. It was,
yeah, I get it.
Terror.
I get it.
Terror of the most gentle human being on planet Earth,
Yes.
probably.
Yes.
Probably really truly is.
Yeah. It happened when I spent time with Paul. There was times we'd, be eating dinner together at the table, and there was nothing to say.
Yeah.
Nothing would come up,
Yeah.
and I would think about all these things to say.
Yeah.
So and many of us had that experience. I remember a friend of mine saying, "You wouldn't believe," called me. So you wouldn't believe what I just saw at Starbucks. It was Paul, our teacher, at Starbucks downtown. So did you talk to him? Are you kidding? He said, "No."
Yeah.
So that's our stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
stories from the past.
That's our stuff. So quickly.
Yeah.
Because I know you've got a schedule today.
Yeah.
A couple of quick things.
Yeah.
You've got a 1-day Enlightenment Intensive coming up next Saturday.
Well, it's called a Gnostic Intensive, or also known as Kensho Intensive, and it's a sort of an adaptation of the Enlightenment Intensive, and it's sort of concentrated down to, I haven't decided, 5 or 6 dyads. So it's not like it's half a day on an Enlightenment Intensive roughly, and it's a slightly different technique in that you go back and forth. So on an Enlightenment Intensive, your partner would say to you, "Tell me who you are," or "Tell me what you are," and so your question is, "Who am I?" And so and for 5 minutes you would contemplate with this technique and communicate what comes up, and then you would reverse roles after 5 minutes, and you'd go back and forth for 8 total shares, 4 each. 40 minutes. On the Gnostic, you get a 10-minute share. 10 minutes, and the questions is alternating where you'll say, feel, I forget this right now, I'm so conditioned in the Enlightenment Intensive, is feel who you are here and now and tell me something about it. And sometimes the variation, maybe I won't say tell me something about it, but just feel who you are, and then you do that, and you tell your partner, "I'm complete," and they say thank you, and then they give you the instruction, feel who you are not and tell me something about it. And so you go back and forth between what you are and you're not. And it's actually a clearing technique that comes from Charles Bernard, the creator of the Enlightenment Intensive, created this whole thing called clearing. It's sort of a therapy, but not really.
Life is
a
therapy.
Technique, yeah. It's this technique. The idea is that it's like if you're pulling a post out of the ground. Like the creator was a man from Yugoslavia, Zvorad Slavinsky, and this idea that why are we pushing in one direction all the time? Who am I? If we go back and forth like pulling a post out, it loosens faster.
Yes.
So who you are not. And he just makes a really big claim that it works way better at I don't like to say producing or creating, but fostering enlightenment experiences, or opening oneself up to the grace.
So my observation is that in a way, we are all already enlightened, and we just need to drop the things between us and enlightenment. To let go of our story, our beliefs, our
at some point
conditioning.
It's the semantics, right?
Yeah.
Like I think of the word enlightenment. So we're not already enlightened. Like to me, enlightenment is another word for realization.
Yes.
You're realizing the truth
Yeah.
of. So
we are.
But where you're going, I get the point. Is that you're not. Who the hell else am I going to be but me?
Yeah. The truth of who I am is this enlightened being, this awake being. If I let go of all my story of who I am, the stuff I believed about myself, I'm not good enough, I'm too, I didn't get enough education, whatever, I'm not handsome.
Well, what I would say, again, just you say enlightenment, who I really am is this enlightened being or awake being, I wouldn't say that's quite, because that's the realization of who we are. So I'd say who I am is divine, or consciousness itself.
Love.
Love,
Okay.
And the awakening or the enlightening is the realization of that.
Yes.
I'm going to say fact, that truth. But
yes.
Truth, fact. Again, semantics is so confusing. But
so I want to say to those of you who are watching that even a 1 day with Trevor and Is Mira going to be there helping?
Yes,
With
and,
Mira.
and Daynard Willisco.
Oh, Daynard, we love
yeah.
Daynard. Daynard's like the most
Daynard is
gentle man on the planet,
cosmic.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Daynard, we love you. And we're going to tag him in this.
Okay.
So, doing even this one day can an amazing experience can happen, and it's in a way like people have experimented with plant medicine or psychedelics, hoping to have this experience, and this happens in a one day exchange, or in my case, in the 3-day that I did with Trevor this fall, and you've got a 7-day coming up.
Yes, thank you. So the Gnostic is on February 8th, next Saturday from 10 to 5. So you can.
I'm going to be there.
He'll tag this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's online.
We'll be there.
And a 7-day, my first 7-day Enlightenment Intensive is March 26th to April 3rd, which happens to be Mira's birthday.
And that's right after our 1 day, my 1 day.
That's right.
Which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah. So this will be my 12th time facilitating an Enlightenment Intensive, and it's my first time on a 7-day. I've done, like I say, 9 or 10 7-day intensives, and it's not a problem. At first, I was a bit confused. I thought that it's not good to have somebody start out with a 7-dayer, because Charles in the manual says long intensives should be after you've done 2 or 3.
Like 30-day long intensives.
That's right. Well, he was referring to 2-week or longer. And I spoke with Murray Kennedy, who I've done all those 7-day intensives with. He's been going for 40 years now out in BC, giving Enlightenment Intensives, and inquired into myself and just all of it. And Murray says 7-day, I believe it's true, 7-day is actually can be the most gentle, in a way, introduction for a new person.
Nice.
Because 3-day, you feel you're so under the gun, the pressure's on, sort of thing, and
got to make this happen.
Yeah, and here's the thing: you still get the best of both worlds, because on a 7-day, I'm gonna treat it like that. The first 3 days are the full schedule. It's let's go for this, and then on the last 4 days, we lighten up by an hour or so, so you get more sleep, and it just starts to flow on those last 4 days.
Food gets better.
Well, this one's going to be at Sanctum. They're renowned for their food at Sanctum Retreat, so.
Yeah, but I think that when we went, I did the 3-day, the food was not, it wasn't bland, but it wasn't about stealing the show. We were eating for substance. We weren't eating to like, oh my God, where the food was.
Well, we don't want to, there's many styles, so it's funny you should mention that. Because if we're going for this gourmet type spread where
it takes our mind off of what
we're the buffet. It's right. It's too much sensual overload.
Yep.
So we want really fine, high quality, very tasty but simple, nourishing food. Right.
Yeah.
That's what we're after, and we'll have
vegetarian.
Vegetarian. We have eggs, and it's not vegan.
Yep.
But if you have a dietary restriction, we can certainly accommodate that.
Yeah. No pork sausage. That's right. Awesome. So one other thing that we're going to talk about, because Trevor gave me like a 20-minute. He said we're going to be 20 minutes. I think we're already over that. But we'll talk about one more thing.
We're at 30. That's okay. Yeah.
We're doing myself and the group that we do on Monday night. We have an event we do every Monday night at 7:00 at the Scarborough United Church, and it's called Project Awakening, Pathway to Awakening, and we're doing a 1-day in March 21st, and part of the 1 day is Trevor's going to come, and so the whole 1 day is to look at different modalities of awakening, because the whole context of what we're doing on Monday nights and this year with the group that we have and the group that's growing is to help people to awaken to their own divinity, to their own love inside of them, to their own, out of their story, their conditioned beliefs. So this 1 day we're going to do ecstatic dance, which I think can be an awakening tool, a modality for awakening. It really can. You can go deep into dance.
I love ecstatic dance
and get lost in it. We're going to have we're going to do breath work. I'm trying to get Trevor Illick to come, but
Illick,
and Trevor, if you're watching, we're going to tag you in this. you've been invited. I'm just waiting for you to call me back. And
well, if he can't, there are other breath workers
yeah.
that I can hook you up with. Yeah.
And sure, like Denard and
Giselle,
yes, yeah. And we also have Jeremy. I forget Jeremy's last name. Jeremy's this amazing guy who's starting a new center in town called the Dharma Center, and which is going to be in Kensington. And Jeremy's going to come, and we're going to chant, because chanting can be a road to awakening. And so he's going to teach us chanting. So breath work, chanting, dance, Enlightenment Intensive, and also we're going to do like check-ins, honest, vulnerable. We'll break off into small groups. So we have a whole day, 12 hours, 10 in the morning till 10 at night with potluck, and we're going to feed people. And so that's our day on the 21st.
Yeah,
and I'm really thrilled that you're going to be part of that.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. I really like and want to acknowledge that you take this approach of sharing. Because some people don't, and it's fine. They're maybe more protective of, like, they have a business and they're but I do the same thing at the end of every intensive. I give everybody there an opportunity to say what they do, and I just think that that's the direction that
how are we serving community?
Community is so important, and that there is no one right way or best way. There's my way is your way, is the way that works for an individual person, and then so how is the person to find the way that works best for them? Well, by everybody sharing openly, this is what's going on. So this is a great idea to have all these different things happening.
Thank you. Well, my encouragement for the folks that are going to be there, we're looking to have 60 people there. It's only $30. It's not going to be like it's expensive. Right. It's a $30 day. But my intention is that every one of them, first of all, are going to experience love that day. We're going to build community that day, which we do here. We have potlucks on a regular basis and do community. But they're going to come out of there with like, wow, I've got to do this Enlightenment Intensive. You're going to give them a taste of it, and
the one dyad,
yeah. And we're going to you're going to have a whole new toolbox of things to experience that will help in the process of awakening. And what are we awakening to? We're awakening to our own divinity. We're awakening to love. We're surrendering to the truth, and the truth is that we're beautiful in every way, and perfectly imperfect.
I think in the absolute that's true, but the truth along the way might be that I'm really a total asshole, and it's
he's a total asshole.
About time.
It is, but
it's about time I actually stopped denying that to myself. So
but we have to surrender to our asshole so that it moves.
That's right.
So move your ass.
There's always the paradox as soon as we begin talking about it. There's this profound truth, and then and the next hour later is another profound truth that's the complete opposite of the one you had an hour ago.
So this growing up is not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you, because I think what happens is when we self-realize, like Maslow talks about self-realization, and right. At the top of the pyramid, when we self-realize it, it's just us growing up, I think.
That's true.
Yeah. We're letting go of our childish ideas of what's in it for me, and we move into a whole different world of how can I serve, how can I make a difference, and how can I show my love, and how can we all show our love for each other, and so does that fit?
Absolutely, that's great. I'm in.
All right. So next Saturday, Trevor's got his one day. Yep. I'm going to tag it on here. It's also on his page. You have a page, Enlightenment Intensive.
Yep, the Enlightenment Intensive.
The Enlightenment Intensive is on Facebook and
website.
And a website, theenlightenmentintensive.com, and all of that. So love you guys, and this is going to be a short one. We usually go like way longer, but we're. Trevor has a schedule. It's a busy Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to go watch a football game, right?
No. No, I've got some stuff in my day job. It snowed, so I got to remove some snow, and then I'm going to, Mira and I are going to go and work on some of the stuff for next Saturday and hang out.
Mm-hmm. Do you like my CPR?
It's great.
For that 21st thing?
I did,
yeah. We'll share. Okay, love you guys. We're going to go. Follow us on YouTube. You know, with YouTube, we want you to subscribe, you know, and
Right.
so that and watch our videos on YouTube from time to time, and it builds our minutes. I'm just trying to get a following going on YouTube as well as Facebook, because just cause.
I got to get on that.
Yeah.
Very technologically in advanced.
Oh well.
Coming along. Yeah.
It's moving.
Okay.
Okay, love you guys like tons, and we'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thanks. Did you hit post?
Didn't turn it off, yes. Because I don't know how to turn it off. Stop watching.